I'm a pimp. And pimps don't commit suicide.
I like this.
What up? It's your boy, back here again with another video. And let's just dive right into it. I've been wanting to talk about this movie for a while now. Well, not a while. It's only been like 2 or 3 days since I watched it, but it did leave an impact on me, to be honest. For those of you who don't know what movie that clip was from, it's Southland Tales. If you've never heard of that movie, maybe you've heard of its director, Richard Kelly. If you've never heard of Richard Kelly, then maybe you know his little indie, not so well-known movie called Donnie Darko. Yeah, same guy. And yeah, if you've seen Donnie Darko, then you can kind of expect the same vibes from that movie in this movie. Although I would say Donnie Darko is a lot darker. This one, Southland Tale, is much more satirical, you know? And to be honest, I mean, it's rare when a movie is still fresh on my mind after a few days of watching it. And it's just so incredible to me. Most fans of Donnie Darko don't like this movie, at least from what I see, because I've asked a few people that love the movie, and I also asked a few people that at least like Richard Kelly as a director. And yeah, not a lot of people like this movie. But personally, I think this movie is not short of incredible. In fact, I would throw the word masterpiece in it, which I know it's very weird coming from me, but I think it deserves that title. Without reading anything about the movie, well, let me start with a little backstory. I've never heard of this movie until I'd say a few months ago when my brother told me about it. He was always interested in watching it. Me personally, not so much. The only reason I started getting interested in watching it was when I saw my brother watch it, and he was watching the scene where Justin Timberlake does his musical number, and just by that sequence I was already hooked. I wanted to watch it. I watched it as soon as I could, and I kind of knew I was gonna like it, but I did not suspect that I would love it this much, because I love this movie. And it's strange because usually I say I like and love movies. It's rare where I find a movie that I hate, because to me, like, throwing, you know, the word hate to a movie, it's hard. Okay, there are many people who say they hate movies or whatever, but they never really mean it. They just dislike it, and they just exaggerate their opinions, you know, so people would pay attention to them more. I try not to do that because I think hate is a very strong word. And there's only like a handful of movies where I can honestly say I hate. But it's mainly because of the themes that directors were trying to portray in those movies, and also the way it was made. But that's, you know, an idea for another video for another day. But back to Southland Tales. I passionately love this movie because it's just so incredible. And like I said, when I watched it, I didn't read up anything on it other than, you know, Richard Kelly being the director. I didn't look up any information on the movie other than the fact that there's another cut of it that's really rare. I've never seen it. And I had my own interpretation of what the movie is about. And researching for this video, I started like looking up other people's interpretations of the movie and just all around information behind the movie, and the interpretation that I got seems to be what most people got from it from watching it. And I mean, I'm kind of mixed about that because I usually like it when a movie's more ambiguous, but I'm still glad to see that people well, I don't like to generalize, but at least from the research I made, it looks like it's universally accepted on what the what the interpretation of the movie is when it comes to its themes. And the themes of this movie are very, I would say, very specifically American. It criticizes the American military-industrial complex, the American consumerism, just all around the culture. It's a very surreal look on how the U.S. is. It's like a very, I don't want to say exaggerated because there are some aspects that are kind of exaggerated, but when you've lived through many different eras in the U.S., you kind of can see what happens in the movie coming in the future, because while it is kind of exaggerated, it's like not that far off, maybe. I don't know, at least that's how I look at it. Because personally, the movie makes fun of everything, like the political tribalism in the U.S. It makes fun of patriotism. It makes fun of religion. Well, religion just a little bit, not that much. In Donnie Darko, they kind of make fun of religion more. And yeah, I needed that beer because it's just, I don't know, it's like a celebratory thing maybe, because it's just so incredible, honestly. And what else? Yeah, it kind of like makes fun of all of that. And I also think it kind of makes fun of the American dream. You know, the typical American dream about, you know, if you work hard, you'll be successful, blah, blah, blah. You get all your deepest desires, you know, all that shit. It kind of makes fun of that aspect of it, especially in the musical number with Justin Timberlake, which is by far one of my favorite scenes in any movie. And yeah, you know, aside from the themes, which you can see all of that on my Letterboxd if you want to, one thing I want to praise is that I don't think there's a single bad performance from anyone in the cast in this movie, because even like The Rock gives a very good performance. And I think the reason why he was able to give such a good performance is because I think the director tried to channel his action movie persona a bit, because the role he did is not that far off from all the other roles he does in action movies, especially now in in the 2010s. This movie was made in the mid 2000s, and he was able to give this performance that was believable, but then also very surreal, because he also has like this nervous tick that's really funny, but then it's kind of also very sad, very hard to describe. And then you have Justin Timberlake, who, while doesn't have that much screen time, he still like gives a memorable performance in my opinion, because his southern accent is very real. His kind of I wouldn't say psychotic, but you could tell like he's unhinged in the movie. Like the way his character's so unhinged is very believable. And also the actor Sean William Scott, the guy who plays Stifler in the American Pie movies, that guy also gave a very good performance. It's very good. I really liked it as well. It kind of reminds me of his performance of his more recent movie, Bloodline. If you've seen Bloodline, you kind of see like the characters aren't similar, but I'd say he kind of channeled the same persona, maybe, I'm not sure, but all around is a very good performance as well. yeah, I'd say those are the most memorable performances. There's also the actress that plays Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She also gives a very good performance because she plays a she plays a porn star kind of, and it's very funny how she interprets how a porn star should act. I don't know. Actually, her role is actually very funny, and yeah, those are to me the most memorable performances. And what else should I say about the movie? I mean, those are the two things that stood out to me. Also, one thing I like to add about the movie is that I find it very surprising how expensive it looks. Because you could tell that this movie is very expensive, and I'm very surprised that Columbia Pictures actually gave that much money for this movie. Because, I mean, I'm glad this movie exists, and I'm glad Richard Kelly got the budget he needed, but at the same time, I really am not convinced that someone actually, had a meeting with the Sony executives, and they actually were able to convince the Sony executives, yeah, this is the movie we want to make, and this is the amount of money we need. And and they just gave it to them. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it was a mistake or something. It's just, this movie to me, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but it doesn't look profitable because this is a very artistic movie. And usually executives go for franchises and easy cash-ins, and this movie is not a cash-in. This is full-on art. This is art. And, interpretive art at that. So yeah, I find it very surprising that they were given that much money for this movie. I don't want to talk about the story too much because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. It's just that this is the kind of movie that it does have a plot, but it does have a lot of plot twists and turns and all that stuff. And I just want people to experience the movie blind like I did. What I can tell you is that the movie has two protagonists. The Rock's character and Sean William Scott's character, both of them. And in the whole movie, you're kind of trying to figure out which of them is like the hero, the main character, and by the end you find out who it is. And it goes into Donnie Darko territory where, they kind of do a supernatural element to it that's very symbolic and shit. But that's kind of all I want to say, to be honest. But, yeah, I mean, this movie's fucking incredible, man. It's like, I mean, I've already said so many compliments towards the movie, but it's just that I'm just so surprised because I never thought that Richard Kelly... I'm gonna get some water. I never thought that Richard Kelly would even... I don't know, I always thought that Donnie Darko was like catching lightning in a bottle, but with this one, he kind of caught it again. And now I'm very convinced of watching his other movies, which I never thought of doing until watching this one. I don't think I will love any other movie like this one, because I really do love this movie. I mean, I really love it so much that I bought it today on Amazon. And I put it on my favorite movies list on Letterboxd. No joke. That's how fucking good it is, in my opinion. I really find no flaws in it. Because while I'd say the worst thing about it is how dated it is. Dated it is because it's a movie made in the mid-2000s. So the special effects that it has are not that good. But since it was a long time ago, it can be forgiven. What do you expect? So... The only other flaws that I could see for other people is maybe the plot and all the other stuff that goes on in the movie, because the movie is very ambiguous. Not as ambiguous as Donnie Darko, but still pretty. Sorry, I made a mess. Sorry. The bottle spilled over. Yeah, so it's very ambiguous, like I said, and it's not for everyone, honestly. It's really not for everyone because, again, it's a very ambiguous film. But I still recommend anyone to watch it because it's an experience that I want every person to have, despite them not liking it, maybe. I don't know. It's just very incredible. I mean, I can honestly say this is Justin Timberlake's second best performance, first one being Social Network, obviously. And with The Rock, this might be his best performance of his career. I mean, it's not saying much, considering that all he does are action movies. But most people would say that his best performance is Fast 5, maybe, or the other Fast and Furious movies. But personally, this one is his best performance. He should be praised for this one. Everyone involved in this movie should be praised because it's just perfect. No complaints. Highly recommend it. And on that note, yeah, this is how I'm gonna end the video. On a high note. So, like always, give a like, subscribe, please share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Of course! Come here, girl.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Come to the back.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
VIP.
Go ahead, be gone with it.
Drinks on me.
Go ahead, be
Let me see
gone
what
with
you're
it.
twerking with.
Go ahead, be gone.